If you spent any amount of time on the internet, specifically TikTok, you've probably heard of the term book talk. Book talk is a place where people like to, as the name suggests, talk about books. This can be like reviewing books, suggesting books. In my consciousness anyway, book talk has kind of gained reputation for people talking about adult books. By adult books, I mean mature subjects such as people fucking, I mean adult hugging. But one of the books that I feel like has kind of broke like mainstream consciousness is the book Icebreaker. I mean, from the title, it looks like it would just be like a cute story about a figure skater and a hockey player. I thought that, and I was wrong. Not that I know because I didn't actually read it, but based on what I've heard, yeah, sorry to like burst your bubble, I didn't actually read the book. So you might be wondering then, why am I talking about it in the first place? Because adult books are not my thing, but you know what is my thing? Crappy early 2000s movies. And what's a crappy early 2000s movie that I want to talk about today? 2005's Go Figure. I mean, it does involve a figure skater and a hockey player, so I feel like it's related enough to Icebreaker for me to make the connection, but I'm actually just kind of using Icebreaker as an excuse to use it as clickbait to talk about this movie that I like, because I feel like this is one of the really underrated / forgotten DCOMs of like the early 2000s, because I don't really hear people talking about it that much, which is sad because I really like it. So I'm using this as an excuse to bring more attention to it and talk about it because it's my channel and I can do what I want. So without further ado, let's get on to the ice. So the film starts off with our main character Caitlin giving us a voiceover introduction.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Kingsford.
And she lets us know that she is a figure skater, and in the figure skating world, she's the best. She's the one to beat. And before we go any further into the movie, I just want to acknowledge the beautiful, impeccable, really unnoticeable body double work that takes place in this movie. Like the actress playing Caitlin and the figure skater they used as her body double look so similar, you can't even tell who's on the screen. I'm only joshing you. I mean, like, it's not really that serious, and I think like it was probably like slim pickings when it comes to like who could be the skating body double. Caitlin has dorky parents and a little brother who she refers to as a craniac.
The craniac next to them is my brother Bradley.
She explains he's a hockey player, and hockey players have no respect for twirl girls. Fun drinking game, take a shot every time I say twirl girls, because I am probably going to say it a lot in this video. Twirl girls is a term that hockey players use to kind of belittle and like condescend figure skaters. Is that a term that like actual hockey players / figure skaters use? Sound off in the comments if you're a figure skater and let me know. I'm just kidding, nobody's watching this. Anyway, we get introduced to Caitlin's coaches, and I think the reason for this is to kind of show that they're outdated like style and choreo wise. Yeah, that's right, I'm a dancer, I say choreo. And Caitlin explains that although she loves her coaches, if she wants to be the best, then she needs to get a different coach, specifically, as she says, a Russian.
We need a Russian.
So now we're introduced to Natasha Goberman, aka said Russian. So Caitlin doesn't place in the competition we're watching right now because of an unrelated scrunchie incident, but Natasha Goberman wants to have a word with the girl.
Do you mind if I have a word with the girl?
And if the very real accent wasn't enough to constantly remind you that this woman is definitely Russian, she starts immediately referring to Caitlin as Sputnik.
Sputnik.
And when I was a kid, I didn't really know like what Sputnik was, and I didn't really know why it was her nickname. And to be honest, I still don't really understand why that's like a nickname of endearment. Maybe I'm just uncultured, but is it like she wants Caitlin to be like a satellite and like be above everyone? I don't know. And Natasha asks Caitlin why she likes to skate, and Caitlin essentially says it's her life source and that's all she wants to do. And that was the right answer, because Natasha then says that she wants to train Caitlin. Her mom is super supportive.
Natasha Goberman is the toughest coach on ice. You wouldn't last the day with her.
But in order to train with Natasha, Caitlin needs to go to boarding school, and her parents can't afford to send her to boarding school. So her only option is to get a scholarship. But the boarding school does not offer figure skating scholarships. But do you know what kind of skating scholarships they do offer? That's right, hockey. So Caitlin gives up on her dreams of going to boarding school and quit skating. Thanks for watching, bye! No, I'm just kidding. After more Russian references to remind us that, again, Natasha is in fact Russian.
See your future slipping away quicker than pierogies at Vladimir Putin dinner party. Everyone knows you cannot pull fish out of pond without labor.
She manages to convince the hockey coach to let Caitlin have the scholarship and therefore qualify to go to the boarding school, therefore being able to train under Natasha in the figure skating club. And like, side note, why do they make these two have like weirdly like sexual tension?
But I lie.
To get what you want?
But I lie to you, Marty.
I'd owe you.
Then Caitlyn is off to boarding school, and it's her first day of hockey practice, and we're introduced to her teammates a little bit, her coach more, and the coach's assistant Spencer, aka Brad, the hottest guy in school. I mean, this is just like a bit that I've had since I was like a child, where like anytime it's like the hunk of the film, I would just refer to him as Brad, the hottest guy in school, even if he's like not named Brad, and even if they're not in school. I just think it's funny to be like, and that's Brad, the hottest guy in school. Spencer is skeptical of Caitlyn the second he sees her, and then he questions the coach as to why he gave her the scholarship in the first place. And then since the coach was basically like bribed to let her on the team, he tells Spencer that she's the team's secret weapon. So Caitlyn's first practice goes about as well as you'd expect from someone who's never skated in hockey skates before. And then Caitlyn immediately tries to quit. And like, you know what? That's kind of me. Like, if I'm not immediately good at something, I'm gonna quit. Then the coach convinces her to stay because he says that he won't make her play the entire season. So she agrees to stay, but after she agrees, the coach then warns her not to tell or let anyone know that she's part of the skate club because of the whole like hockey player versus twirl girl thing, and that if her teammates found out that she was a twirl girl, then they would, quote, skin her alive. So that's really nice. Caitlyn moves into her new dorm. We get an introduction from some of her teammates and her new roommate. Hollywood is her aforementioned roommate, and then we have Ronnie, the the team captain, and Mojo, the girl who likes to perform, you guessed it, Mojo things.
What are you doing? My lucky dance. Huh? You want to win a game this season, don't you?
Yeah, you can tell that this movie's from 2005 because the only Asian / POC character is like weird and quirky and like always has some form of like pigtail-esque hairstyle. Am I perpetuating the stereotype? Anyway, during Caitlyn's first figure skating practice, she finds out that the twirl girls aren't much better than the hockey players because everyone is a mini bobini Sloveni. Caitlyn has to hide her figure skating stuff in the janitor's closet. We get told the useless information that Spencer's in a band because I guess that's supposed to make us think that he's like really super cool and hot and whatever. And then it's time for Caitlyn's first hockey game. And despite what the coach said, little shit Spencer kind of manipulates the coach into making him make her play. Caitlyn doesn't block for Ronnie, and then Ronnie gets very upset about that, and of course fuck-ass Spencer has something to say about her playing.
I knew you were going to be trouble from the moment I saw you.
If you can tell, I do not like Spencer, and it's because like I don't like what happens later on, but we'll get to that later. After the game, Hollywood ends up finding Caitlyn in her little twirl girl stash in the janitor's closet, and even though Caitlyn like totally could have just acted like it wasn't her stuff, like there was no proof that it was her stuff, so why didn't she just be like, oh wow, isn't this like so like silly and stupid, like who left their skating stuff in here, right? But Hollywood actually ends up being cool and agrees to keep Caitlyn's secret. Also, they've used the word bootsy twice in this movie now.
She's bootsy.
It's also bootsy.
And I have never heard that word before I even watched this movie. So if I had a nickel for every time I heard that word in a movie, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Back at home, Bradley is pissed because hockey was his thing, and now Caitlyn is doing hockey and he lost his thing. So he's decided to quit hockey, and now he's like doing a robot building competition. Can you shut the fuck up? Anyway, so he has since quit hockey, and he's now like entered in this like robot building competition, but that's not even the B plot or even the C plot. It's not really relevant until like the very end of the movie. Caitlyn is invited to a party by the main mean girl of the movie, which I can't remember her name right now, but it's irrelevant. And because it's a Disney movie, Caitlyn is too naive to see that this is a setup because the party is taking place during one of Caitlyn's private skating lessons.
Well, it's too bad you're not going to make the party. The whole skate club will be there. Except for you, of course.
Nonetheless, Caitlyn decides to go to the party anyway. But before that, Brad, the hottest guy in school, aka fuck-ass Spencer, sees Caitlyn practicing hockey and also doing like figure skating moves, and we get treated to even more amazing body double work. And there's a weird like banter / flirting type energy between like every exchange that they have, and it makes me really uncomfortable.
Don't you have anything better than harass me?
No.
I get this puck past you, and you promise you'll never say another word to me again.
Deal.
Because I don't know how old the characters are supposed to be. I'm guessing that like Caitlyn is meant to be 14 because they do say she's a freshman, and like Spencer is at least meant to be 17 because the actor playing Spencer was like actually 18 and the actress playing Caitlyn was like actually 13, 14. And when I was a kid, I probably like did ship them together because I was 5 and I didn't really know better, but like now watching this movie as an adult, Spencer just looks like a freaking creep, like preying upon a child. But anyway, now it's party time. Those outfits are super 2000s. I really love it. But while Caitlin's there, the two mean girls have set up this really like elaborate plan to like trap her and then like cover her in paint in one of like the supply closets. This is so they can force her to miss her private lesson with Natasha. I don't know why they just didn't lock her in the closet. I don't really know why they had to do the whole paint thing, because it doesn't really seem like it's like worth that much effort. Caitlin eventually gets let out and makes it to her lesson super late and randomly sees that her idol Christy Yamaguchi, really random cameo, and she sees that Pamela, I remembered her name, is skating with Christy Yamaguchi because Natasha set up like Christy to come and like give Caitlin some motivation or whatever, but then obviously because Caitlin was late, she wasn't there. And then I really hate how Natasha reacted, because it's really obvious that Caitlin didn't do this on purpose. It was pretty obvious that like Caitlin got like hurt / like sabotaged or like bullied in some type of way. But yeah, Christy gives Caitlin a little pep talk. They use this soundbite twice. It's not really relevant. I just thought it was funny, so I thought I would share that. But it's not just her social life that's falling behind. Caitlin is doing badly in school. She's falling behind in hockey. Her teammates dislike her still, so she decides to go home and quit. And once again, her mother is very sensitive and empathetic and comforting and supportive of her problems.
Oh, honey, you can't say I didn't see this coming.
This is kind of relevant to the plot, so I'll just mention it here, but Caitlin's mom has been like selling some of their old stuff online. She was a Depop girl before Depop was a thing, and Caitlin sees that one of the boxes has all of her plushies in it. Side note, if my mom sold my plushies, violence would ensue because nobody touches my plushies. But what Caitlin didn't realize that box also contained was her mom's old skating stuff. That's right, her mom was and she was being unsupportive of Caitlin's boarding school and prestigious training because she was trying to protect her, aka she was like jealous of her daughter, which like I really hate how like mothers feel the need to compete with their teenage daughters. But somehow all of this reignites Caitlin's passion to do skating, and so she goes back to boarding school and she starts working really hard and improving, and we get shown this via a really awesome classic 2000s montage. I really love a good montage. Caitlin has improved enough in hockey to the point where she actually wants to play in the game, despite Natasha threatening the coach to make sure that she doesn't play because Natasha doesn't want Caitlin to get hurt, because the whole reason that she's there is to do figure skating. Duh. Spencer blackmails the coach to either let Caitlin play or he'll tell everyone that the coach and Natasha are fucked, and with the help of Caitlin, surprisingly, her team actually wins for once. So Caitlin's team members, and by her team members I mean the 3 other girls that we actually know the names of because everyone else is apparently irrelevant, they warmed up to her enough to the point where they invite her to a party. And look at how weird and kooky Mojo is. And oh my god, you could bring your own CDs to the club and they would actually play them. I mean, I'm not even that young, but I guess I like narrowly missed out on that being a thing still. Blah blah blah, more pointless Bradley check-ins because we're supposed to care about him apparently. And then Caitlin decides that she actually knows how to help the rest of her team improve by doing vague ballet moves, I guess.
And up and over and down. This is ridiculous!
But she gets a little bit of resistance from the team because they think that they're doing like twirl girl adjacent moves. Caitlin kind of drops some bars, not gonna lie.
They make it totally impossible for us to get any respect, which is why we must respect ourselves first.
Another montage later, we see the Eagles, aka Caitlin's team. They're winning games and the team is better than ever. Even Spencer tells Caitlin that he feels like everyone's improving because of her. He also drops the bomb that he knows that Caitlin's in the figure skating club and he knows that she's a twirl girl. And the way that he found that out was he followed her one day, and then he kept following her because he just wanted to see her, and we're supposed to be enchanted by this apparently because they end up holding hands after that, which like I don't know, if a guy told me he was following me to my extracurricular activities, I don't think I'd be holding his hand. I think I'd be holding a restraining order against him, but that's just me, I suppose. There is a moment where Caitlin is talking to one of the older girls on the figure skating club because the older girl is kind of like losing her passion and being like, figure skating is my life. I don't know what to do if I don't have figure skating. And Caitlin is the one to be like, there's more to life than figure skating, which is kind of a big deal because if you recall at the beginning of the movie, Caitlin was like, figure skating is my reason to live. It's my reason to wake up. It's my reason to wake up. Another hockey game win later, and we find out that the Eagles are in the semifinals. Woohoo! But we find out that the semifinals are on the same day as the figure skating Olympic qualifiers, and Caitlyn is meant to be skating in that. So obviously there's a really big like uproar in like her mind of what she wants to do, because it's like figure skating is her life, but now she has like a team, she has friends, so she's like, I don't know what I want to do. And like everyone around her is obviously being like, you need to do figure skating, like do figure skating. But she feels really conflicted, and it kind of like shows how she's like grown as a character, you know? And yeah, Natasha isn't making Caitlyn's decision any easier, neither is Spencer, and shockingly, neither is her mother.
You tried to tell me what to do my whole life, and now you want me to think for myself?
Shocking, I know.
I came into this movie having like little to no opinion on Caitlyn's mother, Linda, but I left this movie as like a #1 Linda hater. Caitlyn buys her mom's old figure skating dress on the internet because if you remember, Caitlyn's mom is selling their old stuff. That is kind of relevant, so keep that in mind, I guess. And Bradley is still using building a robot as a coping mechanism for Caitlyn getting the hockey scholarship, which like Bradley is like what, 10? He's expecting to get a hockey scholarship for a high school. Caitlyn's in high school and Bradley is 10, and he can just get a hockey scholarship in 4 years. Like I don't understand what anyway. This movie's from 2005. It literally doesn't matter. So it's Saturday, aka Game/Nationals Day. Do sports people actually do this? Sound off in the comments below. Do you sports people actually growl at each other when you're like warming up? Also shout out to this one girl who literally kept eye contact with the camera the entire time it was moving past her. And what do you know? Caitlyn shows up to the hockey game and people are not taking it super well. But Caitlyn is saying that she realized that she's part of something bigger. She's part of a team, a family, friendship. So yeah, basically Caitlyn like discovered the power of magic and friendship. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but like essentially that's what she's saying. The first half of the game isn't going so hot, and like the team is super like discouraged except for Caitlyn. She gives everyone a little pep talk and then like it works. So hooray, I suppose.
Come on, you guys, we can do this. This is our moment.
Caitlyn's entire family is like waiting at the figure skating championship rink because they all thought that she would show up to the figure skating competition instead of the hockey game, but they were wrong. So remember Bradley's robot? Well, it's finally becoming relevant for some reason. Bradley and his nerd friend, who's also there for some reason, devise a plan to delay the figure skating program so that way it gives enough time for Caitlyn to go from the hockey game to the figure skating competition. Yeah, and it actually ends up working. I don't know why Bradley like just happened to have his robot there in the first place. Despite their best efforts, the Eagles do not win the championship, which boo-hoo, but you know what? They're actually pretty okay about it because they learned something bigger. The championship was the friends they made along the way. Or whatever. But yeah, Spencer rushes Caitlyn off the ice and then he's like, get in the car, I'll explain on the way, we gotta go to the rink. And then she's like, oh my god, what? And like in the blur of everything, Caitlyn's figure skating bag opens and her teammates see all of her figure skating paraphernalia just on the floor. And then they're like, oh my god, you're a twirl girl. There's no time for embarrassment though because they need to make it to the figure skating competition. We find out that like all of Caitlyn's figure skating dresses were destroyed, presumably by Pamela. No worries though, because Spencer found Caitlyn's mom's dress, the one that Caitlyn bought earlier, and she's gonna wear that instead. So an awkward kiss on the cheek later, we find out Caitlyn forgot her other figure skate at the hockey skating rink, but they didn't have time to go back and get it. So what is she gonna do? She's gonna do the routine in her hockey skates. But there's one problem. Hockey skates are like anatomically very different from figure skates and they don't have toe picks. So Caitlyn falls like pretty much immediately. And then she kind of goes, oh well, we'll get him next time. But very sweetly, her hockey teammates have actually brought her other skate, but they were too late. That rhymed. I'm a songwriter. Pamela tries to stop Natasha from trying to convince the judges to let Caitlyn restart, but Mojo and her quirkiness saves the day and stops Pamela.
I don't think so. Mojo!
Regardless, the judges won't let her restart. But then her hockey teammates and the entire arena start chanting,
Let her skate! 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 Let her skate!
I guess chanting actually works because the judges let her restart. We're treated to some more amazing body double work, a really cool, funky, modern skating routine, and everyone there is like really loving it, really just like devouring it. Caitlyn finishes her routine and then her hockey teammates like jump on the ice and they like hold her up and they're like giving her flowers and stuff. So I guess they got over their hatred of twirl girls. That didn't really take much. Caitlyn got a really high score and Pamela is not happy about that because she says the most vile, awful, mean insult to Caitlyn ever. But it doesn't even matter because Caitlin has made it on to the women's figure skating team for the Olympics. I didn't really know if that's actually how it works or not. Does it actually work like that? Like, it's just like one competition and then they're like, yep, you're on the team. Like, I don't really get that. But Caitlin's off to the Olympics, I guess. And the movie ends with Caitlin smiling, and then a song appropriately titled Go Figure starts playing. So yeah, that was the movie. And is it similar to Icebreaker in any way? I'll probably never know. I looked up what everyone has been doing since 2005, and for the most part, this was everyone's biggest project, apart from Christine Rose, who played Natasha, and Jake Abel, who played Spencer. The figure skating double of Caitlin, though, did go on to do Disney on Ice, so that's fun. This isn't quite the same thing, but when I was like 8 or 9, I did both competitive dance and lacrosse. And the semifinals of lacrosse was on the same day as one of my recitals, but both were relatively low stakes, and the lacrosse game was in the afternoon and the recital was in the evening, so I was able to do both, no problem. I just like had to wear my stage makeup underneath my like lacrosse helmet, and I was like, oh my god, I'm living a double life. This is my go figure moment. I was also like the only girl on the team because I wanted to play box lacrosse, but the only girls teams were field lacrosse, so I was on a team full of boys, and like that was just like really unique and like really cool of me. Like I was just like super like different and like not like the other girls, you know? I don't really have a conclusion for this video, so I guess like thank you for watching. If you feel like subscribing, you can. I hope to see you next time. Goodbye. What the fuck is happening?